Hello, hi guys. Welcome to the very first episode of, well, it's not really an episode, but the very first episode of my podcast, What Are You Doing, Dem, or WYD Dem. I say it's not an episode because I'm not really going to talk about anything super specific today. This is more about maybe why I started the podcast, what you can expect content-wise, really just the general structure of the podcast. Also, full disclaimer, this is a one woman production, so I'm doing all the recording, editing. I don't do the graphics. I have an amazing graphic designer, Bella, who helps with that, but the content, idea creation, whatever. And this is very foreign to me. I've never been like a very content creation girly or put myself out there kind of person. So I have low expectations, thank you. At least for the first couple of episodes while I gain like my bearing, my footing. Also, guys, I'm a little sick. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I'm a little sick, which is unfortunate. There's something going around right now, which is, yeah, not ideal, but it's fine. So, just to launch right in, because I've been yapping for a minute now, I'm going to go into what the podcast is and is not. Definitely very unstructured. It's more of a passion project, an audio journal than anything else. It's a space for me to talk about kind of like my personal stories, self-help tips, mental health, lifestyle. I love pop culture, so I'll probably talk about that and maybe give you guys solicited and unsolicited advice. But I've always wanted to do a podcast, and the timing just ended up being really right for this to come out. And so if you're listening to this right now, it means I released the episode, which is great. But I also started recording this, what's today? December 30th of 2024. And I'm releasing this on my birthday. So if you're listening, wish me happy birthday. It's a polite thing to do. I'm kidding, but yeah, I'm releasing on my birthday. I'm super excited, and just something I've wanted to do for such a long time. But the promotion of it all has kept me. I like to think of myself as a relatively private person. I have social media and I use it, but I like to think, again, people don't really know what's going on in my life, and that's been like a big thing for me is, A, I'm putting myself out there because I'm talking to an audience. I have to promote it on my social pages. What if people judge me? Blah, blah, blah. And so I battled with that for a while. And honestly, I've wanted to do this for probably 4 or 5 years. So that might be part of what's held me back. And also, it was always a thing that I was like, there's so many podcasts. Who cares? And because this is more of a passion project than something that I am actively trying to blow up from, it's just for fun. It takes a lot of the pressure off. And I feel more comfortable doing this now. It's also just part of my New Year's resolution 2025, which is, again, when you're listening to this, my New Year's resolution is putting myself outside of my comfort zone as frequently as possible. And I am dreading it and also like really excited about it at the same time, because the past 2-3 years I've had very specific resolutions that I have to adhere to. There's nothing super hard or complex about them, but I think they help me like mental health wise and growth wise, and I'm always trying to grow and get better. I'll just run it back a little bit. But 2020, obviously COVID was happening, it was a pandemic, and everybody's lives were insane, but I feel like I really spiraled. In particular, there was so much going on. I lost my grandpa, and then I graduated from uni a couple months later, and I spiraled again. I regained my footing for a little bit, and then I graduated uni, and it was just thrown into like an adult world. So jarring. And I felt like my job was very chaotic at the time. My relationships were a little chaotic. My friendships, thank God, were not. I have amazing friends. But yeah, there's just a lot of chaos going on in my life. And I had a little mental breakdown. Not like a mental breakdown, but I crashed out before crashing out was a thing, basically. And when that happened, I feel like shut down. Like I retreated from social media, and I was very much so just seeing like the same 5 people. And it's what I needed at the time, but I definitely got too comfortable. And I don't know, I felt very stagnant. I feel like I was growing, and I implemented my New Year's resolution. So 2024's was saying yes to as many things as possible. And I think at the time I was still living in New York. I can't speak. I was still living in New York, and I wasn't really going out. I go to work, I hung out with my friends, like little things, but I wasn't being super social. I wasn't really dating, or I was here and there. I wasn't doing anything exciting. And then I moved from New York late 2023, and I was in a whole new environment. I kind of new people, but I either had to rekindle old relationships or make new friends, and I feel like saying yes has made that process so much easier. And my 2025 resolution is to do things outside of my comfort zone. So everything that I feel like I cringe away from or I'm like repulsed by the idea, I'm going to try and challenge myself to do this year. And this podcast, even though it's something that I've always wanted to do, is something that just really made me nervous, and I struggled and went back and forth on whether or not I wanted to do it. And I'm really glad I did. Great way to start off my resolution, my new year, and I'm excited for whatever growth, because there was a lot of growth last year, whatever growth comes from this little project this year. And I've spent so much of my life learning, unlearning, and growing. So I'm definitely excited to see what this process looks like. And I already know I'm going to get frustrated at times, but I'm trying to commit. That's the other thing. I've been trying to be more disciplined and like committing to the things I start out. It's like not flaking. So I think I will stick true to this. Fingers crossed. I'm probably going to do either a weekly episode schedule, but I'm thinking more bi-weekly just to keep it realistic for both of us. And I really appreciate you for listening. So whether you're here for advice or a laugh, maybe you just like the sound of my voice, that's also acceptable. Either way, thank you for tuning in and listening. And if they're like words I'd leave you with, or I don't know, theme of this little trailer episode thing, if there's something that you've been wanting to do, whether it's starting a podcast or moving to a new city, even just trying out like a new hobby, do it. Start before you're ready. You will figure it out as you go. And you know, if you're feeling stuck, that's perfectly fine. That's super normal. Just take it one step at a time. Progress doesn't have to be perfect. It's not linear. It just has to happen. And I think that's like a big theme of the year. It's been such a weird couple of years. I know 2024 was whack for a lot of people. So definitely give yourself grace and give yourself the opportunity to try whatever it is you've been wanting to try and you haven't. And you know, if it flops, it flops. And if it does well, amazing. Either way, you'll be like happier that you did it. And you're not left wondering what could have happened if I had committed. Would things be different? You just kind of know. And I think there's something to be said about being able to go for what you want. With all that being said, that brings us to the conclusion of my little trailer episode. I am super excited about the next episode, which is, oh God, we're going to be diving into a topic that's very close to my heart, and that is why moving to New York City isn't all it's cracked up to be. And I'm a big believer in de-influencing living in New York. I think there's been so much like propaganda put out there about how amazing. Anyway, I'll get into this in the next episode, so don't miss it. But to round this up, if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. I would love that. Share it on your socials. I'd also love that. The podcast has social media, so we have an Instagram, a TikTok, and a Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, account. You can find all of those linked below. And I will probably post predominantly on the Instagram just because it's easier to talk to you guys that way, do polls, ask questions, and get info out about our next episodes. I honestly don't know how to use TikTok. That's part of my 2025 goal is learning. So I'm going to learn how to use TikTok, maybe use that for TikTok lives, or I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go. But yeah, definitely follow along for more updates. And I think that's it. There's nothing else to say. Unfortunately, I don't have a cool sign out yet. I'm going to think about one or come up with something. Something's in the works. We'll get there. But for now, goodbye. I'll talk to you very soon and have a great rest of your day. Bye, guys.